Joni Mitchell has joined Neil Young, and Neil Young was really kind of leading the way in this, and pulling their music off of Spotify over Spotify's continued support financially and hosting on their platform exclusively of the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, which has become, over the COVID-19 pandemic, a major source of misinformation about the pandemic. Joe Rogan often invites different alternative scientists and doctors, quote unquote. And while I do a political podcast, I'll invite people who go against the status quo on things all the time, and I'll challenge them on these things. But Joe Rogan does this in a way that's very sort of embracing the nonsense and not really challenging some of these things, when a lot of major science and more reputable forms of information are constantly challenging him. And so because of this, you had tangible results. There's a lot of COVID-19 misinformation. Vaccination has become wrapped around this idea of rights and justice, and people think that this is the big scam that's going on. And as usual, people are looking to this people are looking to the pandemic as a example of government overreach, when government overreach is all around us. If we actually don't lose the plot here, we can actually focus on the major things that are going on in the world. #NoPolitics. But getting back to the music aspect of it, Neil Young, reading from TechCrunch, announced that he would pull his music from the streaming service to protest Spotify's relationship with Joe Rogan, and basically Neil Young put forth an ultimatum. Yes, saying that if you don't pull Joe Rogan, or censure him, or at all punish him under Spotify's supposed COVID misinformation policy, which they'll point to and say they've taken down podcasts for spreading down COVID misinformation. If they don't do anything about Joe Rogan's podcast, then Neil Young is pulling his music off of Spotify. And so Spotify said again that they, they do apply their supposed policy against COVID-19 misinformation. That being said, they didn't say this in the statement, but Joe Rogan has a special deal, $100 million special deal. And the thing behind that is, by having Joe Rogan's podcast exclusively on Spotify, like the YouTube clips or whatever, exclusively on Spotify, that is allowing Spotify to become not only a dominant player in the music streaming space, but also the podcast streaming space. Yeah. And
also the advertisers for JRE as well, they have to pay a certain amount of money to Spotify just to advertise on JRE's platform too. So there's a lot of money involved. A lot of money.
Yeah, Spotify is now running tolls on the bridge that is the Joe Rogan podcast, because they have that intellectual property under their belt, and they are having other advertisers use that same platform that Spotify then generates extra money off of in order to, grow their platform. And so Spotify is directly benefiting from this business decision. And Neil Young is around the money here. Other artists are around the money here. And there's been a rise in artists not only talking about Spotify's unfair business practices as far as compensating artists, but also the investments that major board members make into supposed defense contractors and other things that make artists concerned about where their efforts, where their labor is ultimately going towards, for the sake of convenience for music streamers like ourselves, like many of the people who listen to this podcast. And so I think it's an incredible stance that they're taking. And it's difficult because, like we said, for the sake of convenience, there are a lot of people. Spotify is the largest music streaming service. Apple Music is still a distant second. And so it makes it that much more difficult for people to listen to artists that they like, because that means Neil Young can't be in all of your playlists or that are on Spotify. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's more and more people are starting to do it, more bands, more things and stuff. So I think it's the beginning of that. It'd be interesting to see if anything actually takes effect, if Spotify does anything. I doubt it. Absurdly doubt it. But yeah, if you're gonna if you talk your politics, gotta live your politics at the end of the day.
100%. So I'm proud of them for doing that.
Lobsters.
Yeah.
The climate doesn't exist.
I've stopped IDWing my brain. I'm just
oh man. I love it. I fucking love it. Eat that shit up.